Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Deval. I'm the product manager with QNAP, and thank you all for joining our webinar regarding mastering QNAP snapshots. So today we'll be talking a lot about snapshots and how to protect yourself with Snapshot. And with me is Daniel, and he'll be taking over for the snapshot. So Daniel, here you go.
Hello, I'm Technical Account Manager here at QNAP USA. So for our agenda today, we'll talk about how snapshots work, how much space it takes, differences in snapshot between QTS and QUTS Hero. We'll go into Snapshot Replica, how that's actually fairly different in QTS versus QUTS Hero, then SnapSync, and we'll have a live demo, and of course, question and answer time. So how snapshots work is they essentially freeze blocks of data in place. So, if you have like a file, the file is made out of blocks of data. You have a Word document, there are blocks of data that make up that Word document. You have a video, it's made of blocks of data. So snapshots freeze blocks of data in place so that blocks of data do not get overwritten. So if you can see this picture with snapshots versus without snapshots, let's just pretend this is a Word document and you're modifying the paragraphs in the Word document that are contained on blocks ABC. With snapshots, ABC, original ABC stay exactly where they are, and you write a new ABC in a new location on the drives. And then you read the file from new A, new B, new C, and then D and E. And so you read the file from the new blocks. You do not overwrite the old blocks, though they stay in place. And the advantage of this is the old blocks that used to make up the file are still there. And because they are still there, you can always go back. So if the metadata pointers point to new A, new B, new C, D, and E, I read the file in its current state. But if I move the pointers back to original A, B, C, if I read the file from these original blocks, I've just opened it in its previous state. So it stops you from overwriting blocks of data when you make changes, and you can do the pointers back to the original blocks to restore the file to the original format. You can even get back deleted files this way. To talk about how much space you need for snapshots, that really corresponds to how many blocks of data would you have deleted and overwritten, or how many blocks of data would you have modified and overwritten, because whenever you are about to overwrite a block, it stops you from overwriting that block. So if you see these pictures without snapshots, you can see the space you need is new A, new B, new C, D, and E without snapshots. But with snapshots, you need the old A, B, C, D, and E, plus you need the new A, B, C. So basically the space you need for snapshots is however much space, basically many blocks as would have been overwritten, whether it be from deleting files, whether it be from modifying files. A rule of thumb is however many blocks would have been overwritten, more or less determines how much space you need. And what this means, you can add file after file after file, and snapshots don't take up much space because adding files does not overwrite blocks. It is deleting files that causes you to overwrite a whole bunch of blocks, or if you do any large modifications. So most of the time, snapshots don't even need that much space, but the exception is when you delete a whole bunch of stuff or overwrite a whole bunch of stuff. Otherwise, snapshots are very space efficient. Restoring from snapshots is quite fast, and that's because you don't actually have to move the blocks of data, right? The original blocks of data are kept right where they were, so you really only have to move the metadata pointers. So I might explain this from actually the previous slide here. So if I want to restore this file to the previous state, I don't have to move blocks A, B, and C. I don't have to move these from some other location. They're right where they always were. The only thing I have to move is the metadata pointer. So before I read the file from these blocks, but now I move the metadata pointers to say move the file from these blocks. So I'm not actually moving the data to restore from snapshot. I'm only moving the metadata pointers to say open the file from the original blocks. And moving pointers can be done much faster than moving data. So if you were to move like 300 gigabytes of data from a standard backup, that might take 30 minutes. But if you're just moving pointers that point to 300 gigabytes of data, you might do that in 3 minutes. So restoring from snapshots is very fast. So to talk about QTS versus QUTS Hero, on QTS, if you have an x86 processor, at least 4 gigs of RAM, you can do up to 256 snapshots per volume, up to 1024 per NAS. On ARM, you can do up to 64 per volume, 256 per NAS if you have enough RAM, and then with less RAM, it's less snapshots. But you can see QTS is more limited in how many snapshots you can take. But on Hero, you can do a lot more snapshots, more than 65,000. And the reason for that is we are using a ZFS feature for our snapshots. We are using the ZFS copy and write feature. And when I explain how copy and write works, it's going to look very similar to how I explain snapshots work. It's a very similar concept, but with QUTS Hero, we're using a ZFS file system feature that's more it's more lightweight when it's a file system feature, so it takes less RAM, takes less resources. We can do more snapshots. So ZFS copy and write is not just for snapshots. It's actually there to protect your data from corruption, but it also has an added feature of working for snapshots as well. It stops you from directly overwriting blocks of data. So if we pretend these 4 blocks here were a Word document and you want to modify a paragraph that corresponds to these 2 blocks, without copy and write, you would just overwrite these blocks. But with copy and write, it freezes those blocks in place. It stops you from overwriting them. And you write 2 brand new blocks on brand new sectors of the drive. Once these new blocks have been fully written, you just move the metadata pointers, or before you open the file from these 4 blocks, now you open the file from these 4 blocks. And the way this protects your data, I know this is kind of a side note, the way this protects your data is if you're writing these new blocks and the write is interrupted, so you have a halfway overwritten block and it's interrupted, the original blocks are still there. The file in its original state is still there. This protects you from corruption. That's the #1 thing this is for, protect you from corruption. But the added bonus is because the original blocks are still there, I can always point the metadata pointers back to the original blocks. Move the pointers here, you open the file in its previous state. Move the pointers to the new blocks, you open the file in its new state. So what I just explained here is very similar to how I explained snapshots work, but with our ZFS systems, we're using a file system feature that can do this much more efficiently to allow for more than 65,000 snapshots. So when you have your snapshot you need to restore from snapshot, there are 3 main ways. You can select individual folders or files in the share folder or volume on QTS, and then you can restore that file or folder to a previous state in its current location, or you can restore it to a different location. So maybe you want to keep the current version in the current location, but you want to restore a previous version to a new location, to some new folder on your NAS. So you have both the old version and the new version. Maybe you want both, so we have restore file 2, or we can restore folder 2, or we can revert volume snapshot. It'll revert the whole share folder to a previous state in the current location, or in QTS, revert the whole volume to a previous state in the current location. So we have those options, plus you can clone it. You can clone a snapshot. So it's basically say maybe take a previous version and make a clone of that previous version to a new location. You can do that as well. So I just want to highlight there are 3 great ways to replicate your data for disaster recovery purposes. There is SnapSync, which is real-time replication but does not have versioning. There is Snapshot Replica, that is basically like it replicates the data with versioning, but it's not real time. And we have our app HBS3 can real-time sync or schedule backup with versioning. So great ways to replicate your data for disaster recovery. And so now I want to talk a little bit more about SnapSync and Snapshot Replica. So Snapshot Replica is different on QTS versus QUTS Hero. So on QTS, you have your share folder or LUN replicated to the other NAS, and that Snapshot Replica on the other NAS is very easy to access. You can view your files, browse your files, read all your files, and they're very easy to access that. So it's great for disaster recovery because If NAS A dies, you can just open up your snapshot replica on NAS B and access your files. But for QTS, Snapshot Replica works a little bit different, and it has really a different purpose. The primary purpose of Snapshot Replica for QTS is to use the Snapshot Replica, is to restore the data to the original NAS. So you Snapshot Replica to NAS B, you use the replica on NAS B to restore it to NAS A. So basically on QTS, you can only do 256 snapshots per volume. So what if you want to have more than 256 snapshots? You can do more snapshots to NAS B and use those NAS B snapshots to restore it to NAS A. So the primary purpose of Snapshot Replica on QTS is to use that replica to restore it to NAS A. So it's great for having more snapshots, but it's not as good for disaster recovery. Because what if NAS A dies? In a true disaster situation, what if NAS A dies? Well, if the primary purpose is to restore to NAS A, it's not as good of a disaster recovery solution. Now, it's not all over for you if NAS A dies. You still can clone the snapshot replica and then access the clone, but you have to have enough extra space on your NAS for the clone. To access the data on NAS B, you have to clone it first. So it's not like all over if NAS A dies, but the primary purpose is really to restore to NAS A, and you should know that. If your primary goal is not to have more snapshots, if your primary goal is disaster recovery and you're running QTS, HBS3 is generally better for disaster recovery, whereas Snapshot Replica is more there to provide more snapshots. So I hope that was clear. If it's not clear, please feel free to post some questions and we will answer after. So here's some wording from an old slide for QTS. I just wanted to highlight the wording here. So we support, monitor, and restore select folder and files at the source NAS directly. So that is how we have advertised Snapshot Replica on QTS. You can restore to the source NAS directly. So I just wanted to highlight that again. So let's do a live demo. So first of all, let me go to storage and snapshot and let's make a snapshot and set up snapshots. So this is a hero NAS, so it is share folder. You do it at the share folder level. So I mean, I could take any share folder where there's no snapshots already. So here, like this one, has 0 snapshots. So here, go to Snapshot Manager. I can enable a schedule, a daily, let's say hourly. I mean, I can do 65,000 snapshots, so I'll do it hourly. Retention, smart version, like how many hourly, daily. But I think I'm just going to do a maximum number of snapshots. Let's say 1,000. Maximum 1,000 snapshots, snapshot every hour. I think that'll work for me just fine. And I'll take a snapshot right now. So that's how easy it is to take a snapshot and set a schedule. And then the snapshot appears here. So let me take a folder that actually has more snapshots. So you can see that. You can see this has 6 snapshots. You can see that there. Since there's 6 snapshots, I can click on any of these snapshots and then just open the folder. So here you can see the files in the folder. On my most recent snapshot, I've got 3 main files. Still 3 files. Now I've got 2 files, 1 file, 0 files. So this is how this folder was at the time of the first snapshot, time of the second snapshot, third, fourth, fifth. And so I can select any individual file. I can restore the file in place. I can restore the file to a new location. I could select, if I had multiple folders in here, I could select a folder, restore it in place, restore it to a new location, or I could restore just the whole, revert the whole snapshot, revert the whole folder snapshot. So it's a very flexible feature. And of course, I could clone the whole folder snapshot as well. So maybe I just want to have the whole folder in its current state here. Maybe in a new location, I want to have a previous version of this whole folder. So there's many options here. It's great. And also, I'll just highlight this. If I want to open it in File Station, so I can open up any version in File Station as well if I want to work on it that way. So, so you can see it here. So maybe I want to make a snapshot replica job. So I can replicate really anything I want. So I'll just replicate this folder. I don't think it really matters. I'll replicate this folder. I'll detect another NAS on my network. And I'm going to replicate to the 574. Test it. And there's only one pool in this NAS, so that's the pool. So I'll replicate it to this pool. And I like to have it do it after a snapshot. So whenever a snapshot is taken locally in the NAS, it'll do a snapshot replica. How many versions you want to take? I'll make it 300. You can, of course, do things like encryption, compression. And if you had to, like, imagine you had a remote NAS and you wanted to replicate like 100 terabytes to remote NAS, doing that through the internet could be problematic if you had like 100 terabytes. So you could export source data to external storage and basically carry it over to the other location, similar concept like an Amazon Snowball or something. So yeah, so that is my folder. You can see the NAS here. So let me now go to that folder and start another backup. So I'd set it to do the replica after a snapshot is taken. So I'm just taking a snapshot. And so that snapshot was just taken. I'll take another snapshot. There's really no point in doing that, but you just take the snapshot and that should then start the replication job. And you can see it's replicating the snapshots. Let's go to the other NAS now. And let's see where it replicated. As you see, it's replicating right now. Depending on how much data you have there, it can still take some time, but that's how you do a snapshot replica job. So while it's doing that one, I set up a snap sync job. So it really doesn't matter which folder I choose. So we'll just choose the folder. I might have already had a snap sync job already, so it might tell me that that this won't offer additional protection. We shall see. I think it's taken a while because the snapshot replica is running. So yes, it's normally faster than this, but I am in the process of running a snapshot replica job. And since there's more significant data in that folder, it's slowing things down a little bit, but here we go. So there's only one pool in that NAS, so let's just call this, what should I call this? And next, I just do automatic, but you could choose a network adapter if you prefer. You can choose the latency threshold, like when will it kind of time out, but I think the defaults, at least for me, work pretty well. So when running two jobs at the same time, as you can see, there is a slowdown. So you might want to run these jobs at separate times. I mean, SnapSync, the first time you run it, will, here we go. Anyway, it's done. So now let's go find that. SnapSync 7. Let's see. And here we go, SnapSync 7. So you could use Snapshot Replica or SnapSync to replicate folders or LUNs. And so now I have the folder here. And it replicates all the data, so that was not too hard to do. I do want to point out something. These folders are in read-only mode. So with what this means, go to Snapshot Manager. I can still view my files and folders. I can still go to File Station, read my files and folders. If I want to write to any of these files and folders, I could restore a specific file or folder to a location. So let's say this folder had terabytes of data and I didn't want to clone the whole thing. I could take a specific file or a specific folder that I want to work on, restore just that file or that folder so it doesn't take much space. And that is one option here because the Snapshot Replica is read-only. I could clone the whole thing to make a whole new version, but that does take more space. But I do have another option. So one of the questions I was asking, what if the original NAS just dies? And therefore, you actually want to work off the data in the new NAS and take this off read-only. To get this off read-only, you basically have to delete the job. So I can go to SnapSync. And let me find the job. I can, if you delete a job, here goes SnapSync 7. First, you stop the job. And then if you want it to off read-only mode, you can delete the job. It tells you that the job's data will be deleted, and that at first sounded scary to me, but it doesn't delete the data in the folder. It deletes the data for the job. So if you want to cancel the job, now that job is done. That job is no longer there. So now let's go find SnapSync 7. Let's refresh this. And you see now that message that says read only is not there anymore. So I can read and write, I can work off this folder now. So if in a true disaster situation where NAS A is gone, you can keep the Snapshot Replica in read-only mode and just take individual files you want to work on. You can make a clone of the whole folder if you have enough space, but if you don't have enough space and want to just work on the whole folder, you can delete the job so that the folder is no longer in read-only mode. So those are kind of your basic options there. So yeah, I think that's the demo of Sync Snapshot Replica. Let's go back to the slides here. I want to talk a little bit about space. I was talking about how space efficient snapshots are, but for QUTS Hero, there is a caveat. If you use thick provisioning, snapshots actually take a lot more space. With thick provisioning on Hero, we have something called overwrite protection. So think of it this way. Imagine you have a share folder with 500 gigabytes of data, and you take a snapshot. It will reserve another 500 gigabytes of data for overwrite protection. Let's say your folder has 1.5 terabytes of data. It will reserve an additional 1.5 terabytes of data for overwrite protection. So all the stuff I said about how snapshots take very little space, you can add file after file after file, and snapshots take very little space because the space a snapshot normally takes is the data that would have been overwritten. Adding files shouldn't overwrite it. Deleting files makes snapshots big, or making huge modifications. Like if you have a terabyte file and you actually modify half of that file, like if you actually modify 500 gigs of blocks, that almost never happens, but like huge modifications or many deletions, that's normally what makes snapshots big. And usually just adding files does not make snapshots big because usually, but for thick provisioning, it does make snapshots big because thick provisioning will do overwrite protection for all the data you have. So if you have 1.5 terabytes of data, take your first snapshot, it reserves 1.5 terabytes in the pool for overwrite protection. So with thick provision folders, snapshots take a lot more space than with thin provision folders. And so my suggestion to people is if you plan on using snapshots, in almost every case, I suggest thin provisioning. And even if you're not using snapshots, let's say in the vast majority of cases, I suggest thin provisioning for better storage allocation. The difference in performance between thin and thick is not that much. For read, it's almost the same. For write, I think we're looking like a 5 to 10% difference. It's not very much. So I almost always suggest thin, but especially if you will run snapshots, I tend to suggest thin so that snapshots don't take that much space. But as long as you do thin provisioning, then the rule of kind of a rule of thumb for snapshot space is you need about as much space as the data that would have been modified or deleted since the oldest snapshot. So it's not how much data did you add since the oldest snapshot, how much data have you deleted since the oldest snapshot? How much data have you overwritten since the oldest snapshot? That's the basic rule of thumb. And that often matters a lot more than how many snapshots you have. Like I can take a snapshot every day, a snapshot every hour. I can take a snapshot every week. You might think, oh, if I take a snapshot every hour versus a snapshot every week, we're probably talking about hundreds of snapshots versus just like a few snapshots. Certainly just a few snapshots takes way less space. Having a lot less snapshots might make it take a little bit less space, but the main determiner of space is how much data have you deleted or modified since the oldest snapshot. When you take snapshots, you have an option to turn on or off Smart Snapshot Space Management. What this does is if snapshots take a lot of space, usually they don't, but if snapshots take a lot of space and your pool gets too full, it can automatically delete the oldest snapshots to make room in your pool so that you don't run out of space. Now that is convenient. Like if you have 1,000 snapshots, it's inconvenient if your NAS goes into read-only mode. It's a lot more convenient if it just deletes the oldest snapshots. If you still have 999 snapshots, maybe it's not a big deal that you lost your oldest snapshots. That's convenient, that's easy. But there's a caveat on this. If you were to get ransomware, snapshots will start taking a whole bunch of space in most cases, and that's because snapshots save every block of data that would have been overwritten. Some ransomware will overwrite every single block of data. So if ransomware is overwriting every block of data and the snapshot is saving every block of data that would have been overwritten, the snapshot gets real big. And so the downside of smart snapshot space management is in a ransomware attack, you don't want smart snapshot space management to start deleting all your snapshots because your snapshots get big. In that scenario, you're much better off if your NAS just goes into read-only mode because your snapshots took too much space. Now, there is something we have where I can say delete all except the newest snapshots. So in a ransomware attack, you most likely keep the most recent snapshot. What if it took a snapshot halfway in the middle of an attack? Is that good enough protection? So if your primary reason for snapshots is protection from ransomware, you might want to turn this feature off. And what I want to say to everyone is if you don't forward ports to your NAS, you're very unlikely to get attacked. Not forwarding ports is the #1 way to keep yourself safe from ransomware. We have VPN for secure remote access. We have QLink for secure remote access. There's great ways for secure remote access without like forwarding the HTTPS port. That's the #1 protection. But if snapshots is your second level of protection against ransomware, you might want to turn off this feature of smart snapshot space management. The last thing I want to say about snapshots is we do have a snapshot agent. So if you're like using VMware Hyper-V, make an iSCSI LUN, map it on a VMware Hyper-V server, you can take snapshots of that LUN. But if you want the snapshot to be application consistent, you run snapshot agent on a Windows VM. Then the NAS, before it takes the snapshot, tells the VM all the data that's in the RAM, flush that to the drives, so that when we take a snapshot of the drives, we have all the data that was in the RAM. And therefore we don't have problems with their application, because otherwise, if there's data in the RAM, but not in the drives, that's not included in the snapshot. And then you could have some issues with like things crashing or whatever if you load that snapshot. So we can do application consistent snapshots for Windows VMs as long as you run snapshot agent on the Windows VM. And when you take the snapshot, you have the option of taking a application consistent snapshot where it tells snapshot agent, tell this VM to flush the data from the RAM to the drives. So that is what I have prepared for the webinar, but now we can open this up for questions. Do old snapshots get deleted automatically? Well, if you use smart snapshot space management, then old snapshots get deleted if you run out of space, or if you say only store 1,000 snapshots, then when you take the new snapshot, it would usually delete the oldest snapshot. It's really how you choose to set it, but the most common way, if you say only 1,000 snapshots, every time you take a new snapshot, it deletes the oldest snapshot once you've hit the maximum number. I think that's a pretty good way to set it up. Can we write modified data in the remote NAS while SnapSync in QTS Hero without remove folder and source NAS? Well, I think if you're asking, can you write to a SnapSync folder while the SnapSync job is running? Can you write to a Snapshot Replica folder while the job is running? The answer is no, it's in read-only mode. And that's why in my live demo, I showed how if you want it off of read-only mode, you have to delete the SnapSync job or delete the Snapshot Replica job, then it's no longer read-only. But while that job is running, the Snapshot Replica folder is protected by read-only mode. You, of course, can grab individual files, restore them to a new location and work on them. You can clone the whole thing and work on them. But if you want to work directly on that folder, you want to take it off read-only mode. And to do that, you have to delete the SnapSync job or delete the Snapshot Replica job.
Hello.
Hello?
Hello. Yes, I have a query. First, can I multiple job in the snapshot?
Can you what?
Yes, can I multiple job?
You can have multiple jobs running, yeah. Multiple snapshot jobs running or SnapSync jobs running.
Yes, same folder, multiple, just a test folder. We can create a monthly, weekly, and daily. Can I create a 3 job, same folder?
You're asking, can one folder SnapSync to multiple NAS? Is that what you're asking?
No. I will asking a single folder, multiple job, daily snapshot, monthly snapshot, and weekly snapshot. 3 job, same folder.
Yeah. If you want, and also we have our smart version as well. So one option, just take a snapshot every hour, but say to keep like 100 snapshots every hour. keep 100 snapshots every day, keep 100 snapshots every week, keep 100 snapshots every month. So you could just do one snapshot job, but keep a set number of hourly, daily, weekly, monthly as one way. But if you want to do multiple jobs, you could do that too.
Can you see a demo?
You want me to go back to the demo?
Please.
So yeah, let's choose, let's do this, Snapshot Manager. So here's snapshot retention. So I just said maximum, but smart version, I think doing smart versioning might be easier than doing multiple jobs. So just keep a certain, so just take it like every hour, but keep only a certain amount for hourly, a certain amount for daily, a certain amount for weekly, a certain amount for monthly. And I think in most cases, do it like this it works better than doing multiple snap. I think this is probably the way I would suggest doing it.
Yeah, hello.
So we have another question from Michael. Michael, you raised your hand, so you have a question?
Yes, I do have a question. Thank you very
Yes.
much. I have about two questions. For example, if I have a scenario where I have a customer who has 4 NASs and he needs to replicate from each location to possibly he has 4 branches. So he wants to have a central branch where he replicates all the data to, and from the central branch, he wants to replicate same data to the other location. Is this possible? So it's, let's say, two-way replication. That's the first one. And the second one I want to ask is, in the event that I have a read-only folder, can I snap sync that read-only folder? That's the second. Okay, taking there. And the third one is, I know that there's a Snap Replica. Believing I came a bit late, but I think the Snap Replica is just taking a replica of a snapshot. My question is, what happens if the folder on the main NAS that has the data has an issue? What happens to the Snap Replica since it's not a Snap Sync?
To answer your last question first, the Snapshot Replica replicates all of the data. So
Okay.
yeah, if the NAS A dies, you have all of the data on NAS B. To answer your first question, I think you are asking, can you replicate from one main NAS to a bunch of remote locations? And if that was the question, you first will need like VPN or something, but you could do one-way snapshot replica or one-way snap sync to remote locations through VPN tunnel. I think you asked about two-way, and if you want two-way, you've got to use HBS3.
Okay, so I can replicate two snaps. For example, I have 2 NASs, A and B. So I want A to replicate to B and B to replicate to A. Not possible?
It is.
It is possible.
So
Okay.
I mean, first of all, with HBS3, it can just do a two-way, and I think that might be easier. But if you're asking for a snapshot replica, you could have NAS A one-way replicate a folder to NAS B, NAS B one-way replicate a folder to NAS A. But if you're asked about the same folder, trying to do two-way between the two,
No,
HBS3.
No, I don't need the same folders. I just need them to basically replicate folder A to NAS B. And on the other side, they have files replicating to the other side just because they have data to go. In the event B goes down, you have B data on A. In the event A goes down, you have A data on B. So that's what I'm just trying to do. So it's protected somehow.
Yeah, NAS A can snapshot replica to NAS B, while NAS B snapshots replica to NAS A. That is just fine. You can do as many one-way snap sync or snapshot replica jobs from either NAS as you want. And if you ever want a two-way sync 2 folders, then that would be HBS3. But it sounds like for you, one-way sync is fine. So yeah, have one-way sync jobs going either direction is fine.
Okay, then my third question, can a read-only folder be snap synced? It's a good question. If I'm creating a folder and I make it read-only, either in compliance mode, let's say enterprise, not even compliance, can I snap sync it or snap replicate it in any way?
Can you say that one more time?
Okay, if I have a folder that's read only, I'm aware that Vim and the other day I saw it's an article or it was a video on Vim and said you basically create read-only folder. So if I have a read-only folder on the device, a QNAP folder, read-only, can I snap sync it to from A to B, or will I have any issues?
If you have a read-only folder, you can't really sync that from NAS A to B. So you need a read-write folder to sync it to NAS B. On NAS B, it will show up as read-only for as long as the sync job is going. And then if you were to delete the sync job, just the job, then it would no longer be read-only.
Okay, so this is what I'm saying. I created a folder on NAS A as read-only, and I need to and I put files into it, and I took it for 30 days. Don't have access to the files, or 20 days. Is it possible to snap sync that folder? That's all.
No, well, how do you create a folder as read-only? That's my question.
I know that on QNAP now we have enterprise and compliance mode, right? For folders, right?
Oh, you talk about Worm.
Yes.
Read once, write many. So yeah, you can snap sync that. That no problem onto the second NAS. But the Worm data will not be. So the way it will snap sync, it will be just regular data on the second NAS.
Oh, it won't be the worm won't take effect on the second NAS.
The worm would not be replicated to the second NAS. The data will be, but won't be a worm. So I will need to let me create a chat with you. I'm gonna take your information down. I'll need to check more information on that. But yes, you can replicate for sure. I just need to confirm on the second part. Let me take down information. I'll just check your chat and I'll reach out to you right now.
All right, thank you.
No problem. Any other questions?
Yeah. Okay.
We have another question on the chat. Can read? Oh, I think that was you. So yeah, I'll reach out to you.
Hi, I have a question.
Yeah, Deepak has a question.
Snap sync read-only mode, we can change it anytime.
No, read-only mode cannot be. You cannot edit the data of the read-only. You have to remove that from read-only before you can change data.
Yeah. So if you want to edit the data, your option is just grab a file from it, restore the file to the new location and edit that file, or clone the whole folder, or to make the whole Snapshot Replica folder, SnapSync folder no longer read-only, you have to delete the snapshot job. You have to delete the SnapSync job or the Snapshot Replica job. And so I mean, I can show that again. So over here, see this SnapSync folder is read-only, and that is, so if I can find this, now I'd find the job for SnapSync. So why don't I do this one, public 2. I'll stop the job. I will delete the job. The jobs data is deleted, but the data in the folder is not deleted, but the jobs data is deleted. And so now that I delete that, refresh. Actually, I think I did it for the public folder. Now let's go to another SnapSync. 2A, I'll stop this. Okay, snap 2 folder. So stop this, delete the job. Now let's find the snap 2 folder. And see, it's no longer read-only mode, it just changed. So if you have to work on your Snapshot Replica folder or your SnapSync folder, and you have to get it off of read-only mode, you have to delete the job to get the folder off of read-only mode.
I have another question that which is suitable for our client, which is think or thick for the snapshot.
Can you repeat that again?
My question is, what is suitable for our client? When we create a snapshot, it is in think or thick provisioning. Which is very suitable for us, think or thick?
Oh, yes, in thin or thick. I like thin. I think whenever you run snapshot, thin just almost always is the right choice. Because thin uses much less space.
Hello. QTS Heroes is snapshot working for share folder, but QTS is working for LAN, which is the change. It is helpful for us. QTS and QTS
LUN.
Heroes.
Yeah, QTS is volume
QTS
or LUN.
QTS is work for LAN, volume. QTS
LUN
Heroes
or
is
volume.
working for share folder. Yes, QTS or QTS Heroes. This is snapshot is working different process.
Right, yeah, yes, hero is share folder or LUN. QTS is volume or LUN.
Also,
It is
another question
possible
from.
Okay.
It is possible.
I got another question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay. So basically, when you replicate do the snap sync, the question is this, and I need to access the folder. You said if I need to basically access because the folder becomes read only on the remote NAS, and in the event I need to access that data in that folder or the LAN, I need to delete the job. My question, so what happens if I need to resync the job? What happens? Do I go back and set the settings again because I've deleted the job? Will it sync back into that same folder? To have an understanding.
So you will need to, because the thing is with SnapSync is that the reason you will, if you have access to the main job, then you probably have access to the data, right? So the reason that you would need to access the SnapSync data is in case that something happened to the main NAS. So that's why you would delete the job. At that point, you just have to restart the job, so it will start again over.
Okay. So
yeah, but I mean, the chances that you doing this seem very small to me because if you need to get the snap sync off of read only, it's probably because NAS A is down.
yeah,
And so
maybe,
I guess you're saying if you get it working again.
Yeah, maybe not because data got destroyed. Maybe I had a power issue and I needed to basically fail over to access data or something. Somebody basically misplaced data. I need to. But what I'm saying is that if I take it down, then I need to restart the job. Means the job starts from the beginning again. So if I had them, or let's say 1 terabyte of data had replicated over 6 months, what happens? Does it replicate 1 terabyte of data over the same link? So I just need to have an understanding of that.
So yeah, then at that point you will have to just restart. Now you have to just do a new job. Actually, basically, you can't relink the old job because you deleted the job. So the only reason that's what I'm saying. The only reason that we need to delete the job is in case if you have a disaster recovery scenario. Otherwise, you just have access to the data. So I will check if there is something that's coming in the future where you can remove the read-only job while the SnapSync is running. But at this point, right now you just have to restart the job. So you have to start a new job. So it will replicate a newer data, basically.
Okay, what if I clone the folder itself? Would it make any difference without deleting it?
Did you ask what if you clone the folder?
Would it be possible to clone it? Because deleting it is not an option if I've done 1 terabyte. 1 terabyte over a one link or a VPN. Sometimes I've tried this before, and it's either you take the device back into bring it back to your location and basically put them on the same LAN, maybe a 10 gig LAN, and basically have a 10 gig card. and see if you can basically do it, or else it takes you days to do this. So that's why I'm asking the question. Just want to be careful if I'm at the customer side.
Cloning is fine. Yeah. You can clone a LUN, you can clone a shared folder. So if you don't want to delete the job, you can just make a clone and work off your clone as long as you have enough space.
That's the main point. You need to have enough space on the second NAS to be able to clone again. So you can clone it so you can have access to both. So the original job is still running, and then you have a clone of the second job where you can access both data while the job is still running.
Okay, since the I believe that the snapshots are also transferred over, and if I just need to do, I believe when I do a snap sync, the snapshots are transferred over to the next location. So if I need to be at the customer side and I need to basically restore, can't I just restore the snap of that date so I don't take everything in? That's what I'm even trying to look at rather than deleting the job, and if I don't have data space. So I'm just trying to create all scenarios so I don't get the customer thinking, why does he have to do all this and no space and stuff like that. I also need some assurance on this. Yeah.
So
thank you.
So actually, if you just want to access, so there's two ways, right? You can let me change my screen. So yeah, so let's say so the first option is that this is a read-only snapshot, right? So you can access the data, but you can do is under Snapshot Manager, you can clone the snapshot. That's the first way. Or you can just click on Open Up in File Station and access a certain amount of data that you want inside the snapshot, and then you can recover just that data if you wanted to.
So this is read-only, but you can download any one of these files. And then once you download it, you can work on it, or you can transfer it to a new location. And so right now, so right now it's read-only, but you can read it, copy it, work on it, copy. Like I can click copy here if you want to do it this way, or you can just clone the whole folder, and then you'll have a writable version. You can clone the whole folder, or delete the job to make it not read-only.
Okay, so I'm just trying to look for scenarios.
Understood.
All right.
Yeah, that's a good question. Before I move on, I have another question that was pending for a while from Dharmesh. He said, can we replicate the shared folder permissions via SnapSync? So I need to reconfirm on that. I'm going to send you a text on that. But right now, the way to do the permission is to do hybrid backup sync job, and then you have to do a hybrid backup sync, and there's an option inside the hybrid backup sync to replicate the permissions. But I need to confirm if the SnapSync does replicate the permissions or not. So I'm going to send you an email. Just send our text or a message on the Teams with my and Daniel's email. Just send us an email, and then we can continue this chat. Once I confirm it, I can respond to you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
No problem. And then Robani had another question.
Yeah, so I have one doubt. Currently, we are using the SnapSync feature for the real-time data replicate, like source to destination, right?
Yes, SnapSync can be for real time.
Yes, it can be real time.
Yes, the real time. So what customer wants, they want the HI in the QNAP, like highly availability or active passive in our primary secondary storage. But right now, as of I don't think so any tool or any feature available for HI. So what we are doing, we are replicate the real time data in the via SnapSync. If the primary NAS goes down, then we can change the IP address of the secondary NAS and live in our environment. So users can access the data from the secondary NAS. So that's why we need to replicate the user's permission also, because we have integrated directory and both the NAS, the core source and destination, both the NAS.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's a possibility that maybe replicating the permissions, but I need to confirm with HP just in case. So I'll confirm with you just and then send me an email so we can chat with offline.
Sure, I will share you. And is there any provision to make a HA in QNAP?
We have multiple feature requests for that. Um, we are actually actively looking into it right now to have an
Oh,
HA with two different QNAPs on two different models. So I would not want to jump the gun yet, but the only thing I would say is we are looking into it actively right now to have two
oh,
different QNAPs as HA option.
okay. Understand. Thank you.
No problem. Right, looks like no further questions. So if not, then we'll end this meeting today. Thank you all for joining, and we'll be posting this on our YouTube channel. We also will send you an email with a follow-up to re-watch the video. So thank you all for joining, and you guys have a great day.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Hello, I have a query. Compression ratio. How many compress?
So that
QTS
really
heroes?
depends on the data that you're dealing with. Like video files are almost always pre-compressed. If you have a movie, that's compressed as much as it's going to compress, and our compression is not going to compress it anymore. If you had some kind of video that had no compression, then it would probably help. But I mean, movies are compressed. YouTube videos that you download are compressed. I mean, just most videos are compressed already, and we won't help. But if you had, say, a VM image, deduplication might help on a VM image. If you had multiple files of the same kind, then that could help there. So it really depends on the file. So a lot of cases, it's not much data difference, but on a QNAP in general, deduplication can help a lot with a lot of VMs of the same image because there's a lot of blocks of data that are the same. And then compression can help sometimes if the file is not compressed already. Just keep in mind, there's a lot of files these days that are compressed already, and we're not going to further compress what is already compressed.
Yes, I understand. QES is compression ratio is 2:1, but QTS heroes compress ratio, that's one need two documents. So can you provide a documents?
I mean, I don't have a number because it really depends on the file. Like I'd say, if you deal with pre-compressed files, the compression ratio does nothing if it's pre-compressed. But if you actually had files that were not pre-compressed, then I don't know, maybe we'll save you like 40% in some cases. But it really depends, are the files pre-compressed already? A lot of files these days are pre-compressed already.
Can you provide a documents how to compress ratio?
I'll try to get back to you on documents, but just it's not going to be a number. It's going to be because I can't say your compression ratio is 2:1 or 50%. I can just say to the degree that your documents are pre-compressed, our compression will do almost nothing. But to the degree that your documents are not pre-compressed, our compression ratio can help. Off the top of my head, I think it can be somewhere around 40% in some cases when it is not pre-compressed, and it will do just about nothing when it is pre-compressed. But I'll see if we can get back to you on documentation.
Okay, can you provide your email address, chat? Can you provide your email address?
I can get back to a documentation if you can. If we just need to connect to your email. So let's see. We can send you a message, and or you can send us. Let's see. You can send us a message. Yeah, if you can message us, if I can message you in the chat, and we can answer this offline.
Or can we get the slides or PDF of the session?
We'll at least have the video, but I'll see if we can release the slides as well. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't be allowed to. So if you want the slides, if you message us, I'm pretty sure we can give you the slides.
Yeah, sure. We'll send you one mail regarding the one question and same PDF file also.
So my email is danielfrancislyon@qnap.com. So maybe I can write this here. Let's see. Start a discussion. Okay. danielfrancislyon@qnap.com. So if you all have my email now, then if you want the slides, I could send you the slides. And of course, if any more questions occur to you, like later today, tomorrow, whenever, feel free to send me an email.
Sure.
I have one question. Some of time our customer says that they have to take the snapshot on a weekly basis, and after that complete the week first week. When it is the continuous second week, which part was deleted? Is the first day, last day?
I do want to apologize that the quality of the voice coming through is not as good as I wish it was right now. Can you ask that one more time? Are you able to hear me right now? So if you want to ask the question again, I'll try to answer, but also if you want to just ask me in an email, that is totally fine as well. Either way, we can get the answer to you. I had troubles hearing the first time.
Okay. My question is, when we have take the snapshot in weekly basis, but after completing the weekly basis is complete, then second week it will take the again snapshot. The, if the first day snapshot is deleted or last day snapshot is deleted, when second week snapshot is running.
I would say that the voice quality coming through this meeting is just got really bad. But if you're asking about multiple jobs running, Snapshot Replica or SnapSync jobs running, you can have multiple jobs running if that was the question. If that's not the question, if you type the question, I'll at least understand that. Or if you email the question, understand that. But I would say that the voice connection right now just got really bad.
Okay.
So yeah, if anyone wants to ask a question or type a question, I'm looking at the chat. I do apologize if sometimes the voice is not coming through right now as clearly as I'd like. I'll look into that for next webinar. But if you want to try to ask a question out loud, feel free. If you want to type a question, I'm looking at the chat right now. Otherwise, if there are no further questions, I think in about a minute, I will end this webinar. And then feel free to email me questions that come up later.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you all for attending.
Hello. Yes.
Yeah.
I need to daily snapshot, and every snapshot is 1 month. Retention is 1 month. How to configure?
So you want to have it keep a snapshot every month, or keep snapshots for a month? Sure, that's no problem. I can see my screen.
Every.
So you could take snapshots every month on a schedule, or like hourly, daily, weekly, monthly. Or you can keep them for a set amount of time. So you can take snapshots hourly, but keep them for 1 month, 2 months. So you can take them monthly, weekly, daily, if you mean when you take them, if you mean how long you keep them. Rather than keep a maximum number of snapshots, you can keep them for a maximum number of time. Months, weeks, days, hours. So yeah, but monthly is fine. Taking monthly or keeping for a month is fine.
retention is 1 month and daily.
Yes.
First
So
option is daily.
yeah. So yeah, if you take it, say, every day, then when it gets 1 month old, it could be set to just automatically delete everything that's 1 month old. Or you want to say
how
2
many
months, 3
snapshots
months.
How many snapshots?
How many snapshots are? On Hero, up to 65,000 snapshots can be taken.
3 months.
So yeah, 65,000 snapshots can take you back a very long time. Yeah, 65,000.
Okay. 1 month, this is 30 snapshots are present.
So it's really as much time as you want.
If I select 1 month,
I could do it 1 month. I could do 30 months.
If I select 1 month,
well, 10 months. I could do a pretty long time if I want, for how long I keep the snapshots. At some point, you may not want to keep it super long, because if you keep it for like, a year, there might be a little more performance cost for the snapshots and, of course, more storage utilization. But you can keep snapshots for a long time if you want, a short time if you want, and you can take almost as many snapshots as you want. Because if I do maximum number, I can do some really big number. I can do a lot of snapshots if I want, or I can keep it smaller to make them take less space or have a little less performance impact. I did not hear the full question, unfortunately. The voice is not good right now. I apologize. Can you say that again?
daily take a 1 snapshot, and every snapshot retention is 1 month. Which option I would select?
Sure, yeah, that'd be fine. So schedule, take snapshots daily, keep them for 1 month. That's fine.
How many snapshots are stay? This option I will select. Total snapshot.
So if I say daily snapshots for 1 month, then the question is how many days in a month? So that's typically around 30. But if I'd rather do a total number of snapshots, it's just as many as I set. So it's one or the other, right? Like I either set maximum number of snapshots or I set maximum number of time, maximum amount of time. It's one or the other. Does that make things clear?
Okay. When I used a rebate folder snapshot.
Did you ask when to use share folder snapshot?
When I used to clone rebate folder.
So you
yes,
can clone.
No.
If you're asking when to use share folder snapshot, whatever you want, they're very convenient. If you're asking when to clone share folder snapshot, you typically wouldn't clone a local snapshot, but you might choose to clone a snapshot replica so that you have something that's not read-only.
When I used a rebate folder snapshot, how to work rebate folder?
Is it possible to type that question in? If you're asking just how to restore the snapshot, it's very simple. You just choose the version, and then you can choose what. You can see all your files from the versions, and so you can grab any file here from any version. Select the file or files, restore in the location or restore to new location if that was the question. But also if you type in the question, I'll understand it better since the voice quality is not coming through as well as I'd like.
Rebate folder option. When I used a rebate folder option, snapshot. The third option, clone next option rebate folder.
So the clone option will clone the whole share folder on Hero, or it'll clone the whole volume on QTS.
Okay. Next option, rebate folder.
Yeah, we will revert the original folder back to the one you selected.
Okay.
So the original folder where the snapsing is coming from or the snapshot is, it will revert that to that particular version. So everything, all the data inside that folder will be back to its original. Clone would allow you to have 2 copies of the folder. One is the original one, one is the backup one, or the snapshot or the cloned one. So you can compare the original one and the second one, and and that's the whole shared folder. And restore allows you to do just one particular file at a time, basically. If that answers your question.
Yes, I understand. How to use to versioning in QTS Heroes? How which option? Versioning option. How can you use?
How to use the versioning?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Versioning, yes.
So you just set up snapshots for any folder. So whenever you set up a snapshot schedule, you are setting up versioning, right? If I say take a snapshot every hour, that means I'm setting a version for all the files and folders every hour, and I keep as many versions as I want. So snapshot is versioning.
Okay. I have some query. This customer need to block some folder. They not to use the video file in the IGNAS. How to block the video file? No user can put in the video file. How to block the video file?
So wait, you want to block certain uploads to your NAS?
Yes. No user can upload the video file. How to block?
Oh, that specific feature, we don't have it available. I could take a look, but right now we can't block a specific file type to be uploaded. If you can only set up a read-only shared folder where they can upload only, read-only also does not allow you to upload as well. So yeah, there's no way to block certain file types to be uploaded as of today.
Is it not possible?
No, I don't see a way to block a certain file type right now. I can take it as a feature request. I can see if that's something they're working on or developers have thought about it.
I have see to control panel option to this folder, this dot extension. I will see, but not details.
Yeah, it won't be. Yeah, I don't see a way possible as of today. Any further questions, guys? Perfect. So it looks like no further questions. So thank you all for joining, and thank you all for all the questions. Thank you all for joining again, and thank you all for giving your time today. And I understand we ran over the time, but yeah, there were some good Q&As. So thank you all for joining. We'll send out a follow-up email with the recording of this webinar, and then we'll also send. There should be another webinar or workshop end of July or June. So look out for that as well. Again, thank you all for joining, and you guys have a great day.